Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to the AJ Roberts Show. Today, we are very, very grateful to be joined by none other than former ex-paratrooper and CIA asset, Mr. Anthony Stephen Malone. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm okay, AJ. Thank you for having me on your show as well. It's a pleasure.
Awesome, mate. Now, guys and girls, me and Anthony have been friends quite some time now, and I wanted to get him on the show, not just to talk about like all his military background and stuff like that, but I was really keen for him to share all the amazing work he's doing in the form of charity work as well. Not all ex-military types are all gung-ho and murder, death, kill, and spend most of their days like watching war movies and stuff like that, and that's all that they're interested in. It's really keen to get him on because he's doing so much work in the background with loads of charity works and has done for quite some time. So thank you for everything you're doing at the minute, mate. It's absolute pleasure. Obviously, I'm watching it from a great deal, and I'm very much part of what you're doing as well with Melqosh Mission. But we'll go more onto that in a minute. But just for the audience at home, what would you say it has really got you into the charity side of it? We'll come to the military side in a minute, but it is work you've done in the military and abroad and the places you've been opened your eyes and given you like a bit of a kick to get involved with the charity work in the first place?
Yeah, I was very fortunate when I was serving in the Parachute Regiment to be able to go and visit places like Kenya, where it was a humbling experience because we got to see a lot of the locals and how they lived, and they didn't live with an awful lot. I've also spent a lot of time traveling across Africa as well. I spent time in Somalia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and South Africa. So I've seen how people really struggle out there. So coming back to England after all that time, I found a lot of people take a lot of things for granted in this country, even turning on a tap and being able to like pour a glass of water and drink it. A lot of places in the world haven't got that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And obviously, having been to some of these places myself, whether it be in the Middle East or in Africa, and even actually some suburbs in Australia where Aboriginals live in, that is there's some really rough parts there, like especially in the bush. Like, I've seen it in all parts of the world, and even in England. Unfortunately, we're at that point at the minute. But just for the viewers and the listeners, your military sort of background and journey started in 1988 in the Paris, didn't it? Would you care to share your military journey and where it went on from there?
Yeah, I joined the Parachute Regiment for Para in 1988 in the British Parachute Wings. Then went back to Depot Power again in, I think it was around 1993. Done P Company again. Went to 3 Power. Ended up doing a operational tour of Northern Ireland. Spent about 3.5 years in 3 Power. Then came out of the British Army. Then ended up being a combat photographer for 101st Airborne. Obviously the Americans. Then from there, I met some interesting individuals. One of them was David Petraeus, General David Petraeus, who's actually now a friend. And he was in charge of 101st at the time. And then he went on to be obviously the commander of American Central Command and the former director of the Central Intelligence Agency. So I became a asset for quite a long period of time for the Americans.
Wow. So obviously, I know you can't. There's a lot of stuff you can't share and stuff like that, but we could say you've got quite a few friends in places.
Yeah, I've got some interesting colleagues. I'm lucky enough to call some of these people my friends as well. One of them's he was a colonel back in 2003, Michael Pennington. He's now Brigadier General Michael Pennington, and he refers to me as his airborne brother, blood brother, because of everything that we did together in Iraq back in 2003.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, we both know that the power of networking, the power of having a strong network, because of like things we're doing now with Melqosh Mission. So where did you serve during your time in the Parachute Regiment?
In the Parachute Regiment, we were based mainly in Aldershot. That was back in the day. Served in Northern Ireland. Then obviously I was fortunate enough to do some sunshine tours, including Cyprus. So I didn't actually do a lot in the Parachute Regiment. I didn't have a long career like some of the guys that I actually know. I actually only done one full operational tour, which was in Northern Ireland.
And what was that tour like for you? Was it a bit of an eye opener?
It was, it was an education. I joined the Parachute Regiment because I just wanted to gain some experience. And it's a family tradition as well. I'm a 5th generation soldier.
Wow.
So all my family have been, I would serve King and Country and Queen and Country.
Wow, that's amazing. That I love that. That's really cool. It's we got a few generations in my family. Obviously, we've spoke before about like the amazing stuff that my granddad did, bless him, in World War II and D-Day and days after that. And his brothers served, all were killed. My nan's father was a Royal Engineer. It's quite interesting. And I do have a lot of time and respect for people that have such large generations of military families. I guess it's quite easy to come by there, isn't it? Because of just it just really opens your eyes into how many centuries like Britain's been in some kind of conflict, doesn't it? When you actually think about it, the reality is you're going to find a lot of people whose generations just go up one after the other of some kind of conflict. It just kind of makes you realize just like how much we like the scrap, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, the empire has been in peril or involved in wars since day dot as well, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of led you to go from the Parachute Regiment into 101st Airborne over in the States?
I was doing some consultancy work. I had helped American intelligence in the past as well. Spent a lot of time in Lebanon as well. I was helping on a couple of tasks there. It wasn't a career move. It wasn't meant to be. I was asked to give a friend a bit of a helping hand. Unbeknown to me, he happened to be Central Intelligence Agency that I didn't know at the time. He had a tough nut to actually crack, so helped him with that one. That particular nut included going inside Hezbollah for a 6-month period in Lebanon, with the objective of stopping we knew they were planning attacks on off-duty British soldiers and American service personnel in Cyprus. We knew that was happening, but we just didn't know when. So I was able to go in, get a little bit of information, and that information was used. It was neutralized, and that particular threat was eliminated. So those attacks never happened. It was actually the gentleman who was in charge of the British intel in Cyprus at the time. He was my personal friend. So it was him who I was passing, and the Americans, obviously. So then I thought, that's it. I'm totally out of all that. Don't want to do all that again. Then the Iraq War and Afghanistan. So one thing led to another, and I ended up getting more involved in it.
And with that kind of line of work, what I love about it is that it's always under the radar, isn't it? Like it's stuff that doesn't get heard about. Good. And there's to this day, there's so much stuff that happens in our own country. Like even now, while all the focus is on COVID, there's there's sleeper cells, isn't there, like that are actively, planning to hurt and harm people at any given opportunity. So it really goes quite missed, doesn't it, like by the public in general. But I guess the agencies like it that way, though, don't they? Because they just like to be able to just get under the radar, do what they need to do, get the job done, and not have all the fuss.
I think it's good. 99% of everything should be kept quiet, and the boys and girls who work in the shadows are the real heroes. There's so many things that these guys manage to stop as well. 99% of things that are stopped, the public do not ever get to hear about.
Yeah.
But which is good. The governments and the agencies are there to keep the citizens of their country safe. I was very honoured to be able to become a very small part of that.
Yeah, no, I bet, and I think just I bet there was many days where you kind of like just took a step back and kind of realised what you were involved in, and like the actual real bigger picture and the difference you're making from the job you're doing, in the grand scale of things like people won't really know about. It must have felt a really good feeling of just how much of a big positive impact your work was.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, we didn't get to really step back and think of it. For me, one of the key factors why I got so heavily involved with things and I was willing to risk my life was some of my friends who were serving with 101st Airborne were killed by Al-Qaeda. And I took that very badly, and I took it very personally. So I got involved. So to me, it wasn't just a job. It was something I wanted to do, and I worked on it 24/7 for many months, many years, and it went on for a long period of time. One of the other very key turning points in my life was when the suicide bomber hit the Central Intelligence team at Camp Chapman in Afghanistan. I lost a close friend that day.
Was it seven people died, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the single largest loss of life in agency history. And yeah, I took that very hard at that point. So my mission, if I was out concerned in life, was to take out as many of these bad guys as we could. Obviously, with the help of the American intelligence agencies and the other agencies inside America, and to stop attacks as well, because it was not a very easy decision to go into a network like the Haqqani network and Al-Qaeda inside an Afghan prison for a 3-year period of time. I was in daily contact with senior commanders of Al-Qaeda and Haqqani. One of them was Salahuddin. I was his right-hand man for a period of time. Salahuddin is the head of the Haqqani network and the deputy commander of the Taliban. He runs all Taliban operations now. So, and his father, which is a very important point, Salahuddin's father was the senior mentor of Osama bin Laden as well. So that explains how I was able to get access to a lot of information and pass it on. But like I said, I took my work very personally. In Afghanistan, it went very personal, and to even add insult to injury, Al-Qaeda and Taliban were killing members of the British military in Helmand, and 3 para were in Helmand. My friends were in Helmand, so they were on the receiving end of terrorist attacks, IED attacks, and suicide bomb attacks being planned from inside Polishaki jail, which was where I was located. Salahuddin, Talibjan, Mota Wakil, they were the main commanders and orchestrators of all the attacks against British soldiers.
Yeah. And I was on the receiving end of, a lot of those problems and stuff like that, and the threats, obviously, in Iraq and Afghanistan. as were all my friends and even my family. Two of my brothers who served in Afghanistan. They were caught up in incidents, on occasions as well. So yeah, the threat was phenomenally real and a daily occurrence, like in multiple locations. So it's having just that kind of people like yourself, those assets and those intelligence, like embedded deep with things, is so vitally important. And people don't think about that. They just think about like boots on the ground, don't they? And like in large quantities, large numbers, and almost a lot of time in American cases, just overwhelming firepower to try and just smash the shit out of the other side and hope it goes away. But you just need that real raw intelligence picture, don't you? Because things shift very quickly, and what might be perceived as a potential threat and a problem might only be like a small part of the big picture. So having that intelligence and those intelligence agencies are absolutely vital for intelligence on the ground for all the troops and building up that battle picture, isn't it?
Well, anyone who's spent any time in there understands boot on the ground is one thing, but to have human intelligence assets on the ground feeding information back. I was one of a few of us who were out in the networks at that time, and it isn't just uncovering information, it's getting it back in time, making sure the information is accurate. Very, very important. I ended up being a grade A intelligence source for not just the CIA, for American intelligence across the board, and for the British Special Forces. So to be able to be or get to the point of being a grade A intelligence source is quite rare. Normally, a human source has got to be, information's got to be verified from 3 different sources. My information was at high value, time sensitive. It was acted upon straight away. That was good, because at least then I knew that my information, I was risking my life to get information, passing it on, like a time, date, location of an IED attack.
What
back in time.
What do you think helps you get to that position? Like, was it just the level of your mindset or intuition, or was it the fact you're just very innovative on the ground and took a lot and was very risk and reverse? Like what do you think kind of got you to that position to be a grade A intelligence source?
I think because I wasn't officially trained by the CIA, I never done the whole package of being trained at the farm. The bad guys couldn't smell. I was very thinking out the box, not going for the obvious. There has been assets being put into networks in the past. A lot of them have been killed as well.
Do you think that's because they're very much like tunnel visioned on their training?
Yeah.
And whereas you're kind of like you're saying, you haven't had that training, but you're almost kind of like, you have to work off your own gut feeling, your own intuition, and almost like winging it on cases, which would just come across as like normal. It doesn't stand out.
Yeah, that would definitely work. The one of the nicest compliments I got was from my American handler, and he said, "We can't train you to do what you're doing now. You just need to just be you, be yourself. That's all we actually ask." And I did. I've done everything which was my gut instinct on it. I was just very fortunate and lucky to have the full support of a lot of people outside. If I needed anything, it was done. If I needed sat phones brought inside, everything was squared away. Yeah, but I think it's to have the mindset. I think me coming from a military family definitely helped me. And the short period of time I served in the parachute regiment gave me the very basic raw skills and the mindset, which was to run towards the danger, not run away. As far as I was concerned, I was lucky enough to be in a position where I could actually help don't get me wrong. I don't. The chances of me being killed out there were quite high. My life expectancy was not long. It was a 3-month tasking. It went on for 3 years.
Wow.
With the pinnacle being, we located Osama bin Laden, his compound, over 6 months before the SEAL Team 6 took him out. I still have the original report as well, as I do in all of my taskings. So, but that wasn't very hard to actually do. That wasn't my focus. I was asked by Walter Downs, would I be willing to get the location of UBL? Not if I could, would I be willing to? Which meant I had to photograph and copy all of Salahuddin's and senior Al-Qaeda commanders' notebooks, sit in meetings, piece it all together, hand it over. Then we pinged the villa in Abbottabad. So job done, take that one off, put it to one side. Let's focus back on stopping the IED attacks in Helmand against British soldiers.
Wow. And yeah, so you uncovered the actual location of bin Laden that 6 months before the SEAL team actually went and raided the compound.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's so I take, did that give them 6 months then to really train for the actual op itself? Or I guess
it got very political. It wasn't a secret where bin Laden was. It was who had the political balls, the minerals, to go in there and take him out. I think there was a lot of politics inside Al-Qaeda at the time. I think they wanted him.
Yeah.
Yeah. They wanted bin Laden's son to take over the actual network a lot sooner, I think. And everything now is coming into fruition. The FBI a couple of weeks ago released that the new Al-Qaeda headquarters is in Iran. They are now strongly linked to the Haqqani network, which is run by Salahuddin, and the Hezbollah network, the proxy of Iran in Lebanon, is now helping Al-Qaeda as well. So you've got organized crime now partnering up with organized international terrorism, yeah.
It's almost like almost like trying to gather an alliance, really, isn't it, to make the pact stronger? Which, well, from our point of view, in the Western world, and I guess first world digital countries, and that it's a huge threat to worry about, really, isn't it?
It is now. I think the threat against the West is the highest it's ever been. When terrorist organizations start to communicate, they start to share safe houses, equipment, manpower, and share intelligence, and share intelligence assets, then we have a problem, especially with the Hezbollah, because after Project Cassandra was terminated, then Hezbollah was given a free rein over the past 10 years plus to expand. So their international criminal empire is worldwide, from Colombian drug cartels into England, the drugs in England, Europe. It's a problem now. So they're using a criminal empire to actually help terrorist organizations.
Wow. And the clear and obvious thing is that the world, or the West, at the minute, is so worked up and heavily focused on everything COVID. It's like, it's just, this stuff just goes completely missed and not even thought about. It doesn't even come into people's headspaces, like, what is and has been happening, in other places, and what's building up, because mainstream media isn't talking about it at all. They're only focused on one thing.
Just because it's not on the media, the girls and boys who work in the intelligence services, the armed services, both in all the countries, coalition countries, British, America, Canada, Australia, they're all working very hard now to still keep our countries safe, even with all the COVID. the men and women who work in the shadows, is like I said earlier in this interview, are the true heroes. I mean,
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So with your time embedded in the 101st Airborne, that actually led you to get involved in charitable work, didn't it, in Iraq?
yeah,
Like just
indeed.
how did that kind of unfold?
It come to a children's orphanage in Iraq, a Catholic children's orphanage. Um, I spent a lot of time there, spent a lot of time with the children. I kept them safe, kept the locations safe as well. Then I thought this is getting a bit beyond my or my team's capabilities. So I contacted 101st Airborne and requested that a platoon strength was put in the orphanage to protect it.
Was that from a protection point of view? Is that because it was Catholic and not? Was that a religious reason? So it wasn't Muslim, Sunni Muslim, Shia Muslim. It was because it was Catholic.
It was Catholic, yeah. And but in the early parts of the actual war, the Saddam Hussein had given the actual order for the orphanage to be flattened and everyone killed in it.
Oh,
Because rumor had it some of the children who were there were not orphans; they were there hiding. We were able to stop all of that completely and keep the kids safe as well. Then obviously got 101st Airborne officially involved with all their assets, everything. So it's quite an unusual one to be able to call on something like 101st Airborne. So right, I need a platoon of guys up here to protect it now. I've got to shoot off. So yeah, they've done it straight away. They also rebuilt the actual orphanage.
yeah.
And we managed to make sure it was secure after that as well.
That's amazing work, mate. And it's have you guys ever had any communications with any of the orphans since then? Like, you have, yeah. Wow, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I'm going out to Kurdistan again to speak to do a talk for the KRG and the United Nations. So in a couple of months, I'll be calling into the orphanage again as well.
Wow, I love that, man. That's awesome. And obviously, like, see the work we're doing with Melqosh and that, to see, like, you know, I see where your heart's at, mate. It's amazing. So like, what is it about the charitable stuff that you really enjoy? Because for me, like, you know, I've been in the military 15 years, and you've seen, you know, impoverished countries, and people are just in the worst conditions, and stuff like that. And it isn't nice to see, like, and you, if you add war to the mix, trauma and stuff like that, it is enough to like really mess with your head. But for me, I just like the feeling of being able to change a life, even if it's for a day, or to give like hope for, you know, just a day, to almost give people that empowerment to want to improve their life in a better manner, and show them that there is a better life there for them. Should they, you know, seek it, you know, it can get better. For me, that's what I love about doing the work with like Melqosh, and speaking to the amputees and the rape victims almost on a daily basis through WhatsApp. You know, I get messages off them constantly. And what I love about it is that, you know, we're going through our period at the moment where we're in like lockdown, so to speak. Kids are learning from home online and stuff like that, and they are finding it difficult. But I find it so humbling when I receive a message from a little amputee village in Sierra Leone in West Africa, from people who are missing limbs, asking us if we are okay and if we're coping all right.
Yeah.
So what is it for you that you know, really stands out, why you love doing all the charity stuff?
The charity, the work, I wasn't always involved in it. I just used to do my little bit to help when I was on the ground, like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, those sort of places. But it was humbling for me personally. I'd seen in Iraq, particularly, I'd seen that much war. There's no other way to describe it. Carnage, for want of a better word. being able to help some of the people on the ground, specifically the children, on many occasions, it helped me personally to balance everything out. Being in a war zone for such a long period of time, and seeing everything on a daily basis, seeing the killing, the carnage, it's very difficult to process and keep a grounded attitude and keep a clear head. I actually found doing a lot of the work, doing a lot of the humanitarian work, it actually helped me to keep a clear mind, to focus on the good, not just the bad. Because in war zones, you'll always find it brings out the worst in humanity, but it brings out the best in humanity. And some of the greatest acts of kindness I have ever seen have been from people who were in the middle of a war. And you can't put that into words, but I've used all those experiences that have molded me into the individual I am now, and the mindset that I'm now as well. A lot of the soldiers, a lot of the young soldiers from all countries, not just Britain, get to see an awful lot in a war zone. They're there for one thing. The soldiers are there to do a job, which is great. Totally agree with that. Totally support it. But when the soldiers come out of the military, especially the younger ones who haven't seen a lot of life, their life skills are not brilliant. Their main memories is being in a zone, whether Iraq or Afghanistan. So they need to make new memories, happy ones. It's very important. And that led me on to helping a lot of the veterans who were suffering from PTSD, who were homeless in England. To me, this wasn't just a little thing to help or a job or a task. This to me, again, was a very personal thing because I've been there, I've seen it. Sometimes I find it very difficult mentally to compute or to digest everything I've been through, everything I've seen. Because if I'm honest, I did not expect to be here now, ever. I expected to die either in Polishaki or die at the hands of Al-Qaeda. I'm not being silly when I'm saying it. I just didn't expect to survive everything. Every day I was undercover in Al-Qaeda was an extra day, and that was one soldier being able to go home safe to his family. So my mindset, I wasn't thinking afterwards. I just needed to get right now. We need to do that task, stop that attack, end that one, find that safe house, and that was it. So I wasn't thinking of where I was going to like end up, for want of a better word. But now I'm out, I'm retired, put all that behind me. I'm using my experiences to be able to talk to other soldiers who have got PTSD as well. Hence why now we actually run a little group called Patriot.
Yeah, and it's absolutely fantastic what you do as well. Just before we get onto that, I just want to touch on something you said there about like you know, you're not thinking that you would come home. Was that like a daily thought for you, or was it something that you kind of just told yourself from the start? You know, like you weren't expecting to come home. So did you tell yourself that at the start to kind of motivate yourself to give you or to make you do the best job you possibly could for, you know, your country and the nations and for the greater good? And if you come out alive at the other side, it was a bonus. Was that kind of like the mindset you kind of created for yourself there?
Yeah, to an extent. I made the decision to go in deep. I knew I was going to be called a terrorist, a traitor, and everything but the kitchen sink would be thrown at me. So I requested from senior members of the American establishment and intelligence agencies that I had an official top cover from the Americans. So when the Brits, who thought I'd turned, were trying to prosecute me for being a terrorist commander, the Americans would step in at that point and say, not on that one, he's ours. He's actually a non-official cover operative. End of. So I've never been charged. And I'm one of the few people who can say my Arabic name is Aladdin Saeed Ahmed, and I am, or was, a terrorist commander working undercover for the Central Intelligence Agency to save British and American and ISAF lives in Afghanistan.
Mate, that's not like the British authorities to try and like criminalise one of our own and send them to jail, is it?
Yeah, it's not like the Brits, is it? Yeah, I'm still got a couple of things ongoing at the moment because they've got to undo. I was actually, and I've actually seen the correspondence between the American government and the British government that landed on the Prime Minister's desk. I think he had a sense of humour failure when he found out I was actually, yeah. They even came out with the one that I've never served in the British military, which being a fifth generation soldier, my dad was not happy about that one.
Yeah, I bet, mate. Christ. It's yeah, we won't go too far into that one. That's a different conversation.
The Brits are the Brits. I would like to say on record, I do not have any problems with the British establishment, the government. I'm a patriot. I took the oath of allegiance to Queen and country, and I meant it, and I still mean it to this day. I'm willing to bleed on our flag to keep it red. Don't have a problem with that at all. But sometimes elements within the government have their own political agenda. I will say that a couple of people who try to screw me over within the British establishment are no longer in the British establishment. They were removed. So, and they
That's
were
good to
two
hear.
people. So it cannot happen again to anyone else.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you get people in every establishment. It seems at the moment that seem to like to stir the pot, and you know, it just doesn't allow progressive movement, I don't think. And yeah, like it's good to see that people like that were removed to allow positive change and things happening, which is great. So just go back to what we were talking about a second ago with the charity side of stuff. Obviously, like you've done all that amazing work with the orphanage in Iraq and that, and obviously recently over the recent months, you've come on board our amazing project with Faith, who's the CEO of Melqosh Mission. So for the boys and girls listening and who followed a lot of the work I've done, they'll know that I'm heavily involved as a patron with an amazing charity called Melqosh Mission International, which focuses on helping the amputees and the rape victims and their children and families from the Blood Diamond Civil War. So if cast your minds back, for those of you who can remember or know about it, in the 90s and early 2000s, obviously the West Side Boys, which originated in Liberia, kind of like spilled over and kind of grew over into Sierra Leone. And they went around basically mutilating and killing and chopping people's limbs off and that, because the president at the time was saying to the people that basically the future of the country was in their hands. And what he meant by that was he was encouraging people to mine as many diamonds as possible so that they could then sell and improve the economy and the status of the country. The West Side Boys obviously used that as their kind of ammunition to go around chopping people's hands off and stop them mining diamonds, as sort of like their way of fighting the government. Since obviously the war's died down and things have gone back to normal, obviously there's thousands and thousands of people who are left, you know, with missing hands and limbs, legs, arms, and many were killed. Many orphans were suddenly appearing, like thousands, you know, whose parents were killed at a young age, and some obviously that we're working with now are orphans who are now beneficiaries of this amazing charity. So when we spoke to Anthony several months ago about coming on board, because he was really keen to get involved because of his generous nature and his ability to be able to make shit happen quickly. It's been an absolutely amazing honor to bring him on board, and I know Faith, who runs the charity, echoes this in a huge way. So what is it you like about the charity Melqosh, and what is it that you see over the next sort of year, us doing together to really make a difference?
Melqosh Mission International, incredible setup, incredible team, making a huge impact on the ground in Sierra Leone. Over the past week, one little point which I like your viewers to know was Melqosh and the CEO of Faith personally went up to some of the villages in northern Sierra Leone. Even the United Nations has not been able to go that far up. So Faith and Melqosh were the first NGO to be able to get up there and give medical supplies, dental treatment, and help those villages. That's a massive thing. Being able to get in and help people, it's a huge thing, because there's a lot of children involved with all this as well. And a lot of these children have seen so much war. You can only imagine what they've seen. And to have their hands or their arms cut off by the West Side boys as well. But these children still have a smile on their face as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Which is incredible. So the least we can do is to help them.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that I've used my connections within my network to get medical supplies, and we'll be doing a lot more with logistics, with transportation, access to a helicopter out in Sierra Leone, so we can drop off the medical supplies to some of the really remote locations. Obviously, I've spent time in Sierra Leone in the past anyway, got friends out there still as well. So it's just a really nice setup. With everything being so negative in the West about COVID, it's so really nice to be able to see some positive news, some people making a difference. And I'm obviously a military veteran. AJ's a military veteran as well. So it's nice to see a couple of British military veterans getting out there, making a difference and helping.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's just, it's making a difference. And I say it to people all the time, like every single person, whether they're listening to this, watching this, or just anywhere in the world, we've all got the ability to make a difference in somebody else's life, like at literally the click of your fingers, because we've all got resources of some sort. Me and you have a lot of resources because we've worked hard on that and we've built our networks, and we can call upon those people and connections, which is like such a huge important word, to be able to help deliver action and make stuff happen for the benefit of others. But anybody can, everyone's got like a neighbor or something like that might need help with something. The elderly neighbor next door might need help with the shopping. You're making a difference in somebody's day. And that's what I mean, is like we've all got the resources of some form. It doesn't have to be people like us who have got to the positions we have through hard work and networking, stuff like that. You don't have to be that kind of person, but you can just take a step back and say, like, what can I do today to make the difference in somebody else's life? Because we've all got the ability and the resource to be able to do it, like, hands down. And I think it's important that people like us are using our abilities, our skill, our amazing transferable skills you get from the military, and our resources to help people in Sierra Leone who who really, really need it. We've seen it with our own eyes. We've projected it, I know I did last year, across all social media platforms to really give people an idea. And I can't wait till we go back there in a few weeks, when we're hopefully allowed to leave this island, and go and help all these more and more amazing people and make a difference, because like you, it puts me in such an amazing place. I literally feel like I'm on cloud 9 when I'm there. And like, I know when I went last time, I just went down total blank canvas, like my barriers were down. I literally went into the villages like, I am your friend. And that's what people loved and took to. And, you know, within minutes, they were showing me around their house about like how they live and where they live. And it's beautiful to see. And I've said this on a number of occasions over the last few weeks, because of everything that's going on in the UK. I love how simple everything is. You know, everything from the kids playing in the street with just random sticks and old tires and stuff like that. And you just look at them, they're all smiling all the time because life's simple for them.
Yeah, it's a good experience. It's a humbling experience.
Yeah, and these kids have been through, like, not just a lot of the kids, well, say the teenagers and adults and stuff. They've been through not only the Civil War, but they've been through Ebola, mudslides, and now COVID. You know what I mean? Whereas like we're going through a pandemic at the minute, and our lives are disrupted. And it doesn't really matter where you are in the world. If your life is changed upside down, and disrupted in quite a significant way, it is going to affect your mental health and your well-being, whether you're in a first world country or a third world country. You know, people need to be mindful of that and humble about that. And it's not a crime to be in a bad place, but it's not a great idea. You know, it's not great to reach out if you do need help, or you do need some kind of resources to be able to help you to get out of a sticky situation. And I think us being able to provide that for people in Sierra Leone, using our assets and our resources, along with Faith, who like is an absolute diamond in herself, you know, is phenomenal. What is it you're looking forward to the most, do you think, going out there in March?
Playing football with the children after we've been through all the outlining villages and dropped off all the medical supplies. There's like a serious part of what we do. We're there to help. We're not there on holiday. We're there to help get everything out there, do what we can. Then spending a little bit of time with the kids as well over there, teaching them football and things. Because I find that sport and football, wherever you go in the world, children always play it everywhere. So sport is a way of bringing the communities together. I know you're very keen to do that as well, AJ.
Yeah. And again, just using our resources to start building up a picture for people to kind of back that as well from a sporting kind of point of view, and what it could do for people, because it brings communities together in an amazing way. All I did when I went there, I literally got the amputee football team to turn up, which was an amazing experience in itself, watching these single leg amputees running around. And it's just like, man, they get around quicker on crutches than some people, like some blokes I know, you know, able bodied, and just the skill that they have. And, you know, you can tell that they practice their craft really well. But all I did was just got a football, got them to play, and then all the community were there. I was handing out like donated football shirts, which was amazing, sending photos back to all the people that donated, because it just meant so much to them back in UK to see that just something as simple as a donated football shirt was going to somebody who had nothing. And that's what I love about the charity and doing the work with it, is that we're actively showing people where donations go. Whereas like the bigger charities out there, they happily take the donations, but you never actually really see where your physical money is gone.
Yeah, it's definitely an unusual charity, unusual project, and it's one of those ones that doesn't just talk; it gets out there and it gets results as well. That's important. If there's any professional footballers out there who want to get involved, contact AJ.
Yeah,
We'll look at anyone else who wants to get involved as well on it. Like, it's going to be it's a hell of a project. It's an honor to be involved as well. It's an absolute honor, like yourself, to be a patron now as well, and good things will come of it in a world at the moment which there's a lot of negativity. It's nice to see that there's a positive feel, positive story. And while we're out there, AJ, we're going to be posting a load of videos so then everyone can keep up to speed on all the good work that Melqosh is doing as well. So I'm not very good at football though, so I'll have to push up on my skills there, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, mate. If I happen to nutmeg you, I'm not going to let it live it down. I'm going to be like, I nutmegged the CIA asset. Like, you can say they've done that.
Mate.
Brilliant, mate. But speaking of honour, it's been an absolute honour to have you on my show today. I know you're a really, really busy man, so it's great and an honour for you to give up your time to share your stories and all your philanthropical work that you're doing. And it's an absolute honour to have you join us as part of our amazing team with Melqosh Mission International, doing some fantastic work over in Sierra Leone and raising the awareness of these people that have been completely forgotten about. Before we go, I'd like to ask, and I ask a lot of my guests this, if you were to jump back in a time machine now, and you were able to pass a note to your 15-year-old self, like, what would that note say?
Do not go to the Middle East ever. Yeah, the past 20 years of my life has been unusual. I would say, behave yourself. And when an old friend, or when a guy called David Patriot comes to stand, he stands up and he shakes your hand, get the hell out the room.
That's fair enough, mate.
Jokes to one side. I have no regrets at all. Job done, life saved, happy days.
Awesome.
AJ, it's been an absolute honour and a privilege to be on your show as well, mate.
Thanks, mate. I love having guests like yourselves on. You've done amazing things throughout that whole life and careers, and but yeah, so humble. It's really, really great. And like you said, we just want to we're trying to install some real positivity into the world at the minute and everything that's going on. Boys and girls, I really hope you loved the show today, and I hope you managed to take some insightful information and maybe some nuggets that you can install into your own lives. From myself and Anthony, and what Anthony shared with us today. If you're on Apple Podcast, please leave a 5-star review. It's really important. We want to get the show ratings right up there. Knock Joe Rogan off his perch, because he's just waffling loads of rubbish nowadays. And we want to get our information and our positivity out there to as many people as possible. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and likewise follow the Facebook page for loads more updates, and obviously updates on all the amazing guests that I've got coming up over the next few weeks and months. But from me and Anthony, have a really great day, and please stay safe.